Hi, Nancy Christofferson with Longarm Quilting Academy. I want to give you a little demo on how to load the traditional loading on your long arm. So, you would have your quilt back, which is a little bit wider than your quilt top. I prefer at least 2 inches on each side, and I like 6 inches on the top and 6 inches on the bottom. So you want to take the bottom of the quilt back. All right, if there were people or dogs or whatever, they would at this point be upside down because you want them to be right side up when they get done. So this is the bottom of your back, this is the top of your back. So you want to take the bottom of the back, right side to me, and I'm going to lay it across the pole that is closest to me. I don't care where I lay it wherever it's comfortable for you to sew. If it's closer to your drawer, get closer to your drawer. Now we have these neat little things called swift clips that we make at the shop. And these are little clippies, and there's little rods inside here. So I'm going to clip just to hold the fabric in place until I'm finished. And then I'm going to turn it over to make sure it's folded over about the same. So this side's a little bit less, so I'm going to pull it just a little bit more. And now they're about the same. Okay. And now I can take these clips, and I'm going to take these clips and I'm going to slip those over the top of this. And you can slide this off and just clamp it on. Okay. And then take these off. And then you can drop it down, and then make sure that you let this tell you the direction to go. So if you take your clip and put it in there, this will only turn one direction. So you want to roll it 2 or 3 rolls, and then you want to make sure that your sides stay together. They will kind of telescope like a newspaper will when you roll it up. So you want to make sure your sides stay together. This one is not cut straight, so I'm not going to worry too much right now. Roll it some more. Come back. Don't roll your quilt with this, because when you do that, you're distorting your quilt. Just come back and just take it from the middle and push it back out, okay? And then just leave it there. Now you're going to take your next pole and put your little finger on the little holder. And now you're going to bring that one and you're going to lay it over the top of your quilt back. Okay, then you're going to take your quilt top and you're going to hold it up like you would hold it if you were going to hang it on the wall. So if you have flowers, you want them all to be facing upwards. And you're going to take it and throw it across so that you're only working with the bottom. And you're going to center that over your quilt back that you can see. So if it's 2.5 inches here, it needs to be about 2.5 here. You don't have to get a ruler out and measure it. Just eyeball it, approximately 2.5 inches. And then you can put these little clamps on to hold it in place until you can put these rods on. And you just push it on. All right. Now you can just relax that. Now when I'm doing a quilt back, I usually just throw it across this table. Of course, right now it's not going to work all that great because there's not that much fabric there. But if you had a quilt top on there, you would have rows where you seam the rows. And you want to stop at every row and make sure that that row is straight across here. You don't want to stretch it and massage it out and stretch one side to make it meet. You want to lift it and let it relax a little bit. You can work all that excess in. The way that I explain it is if you've ever done a apparel, if you've ever done a blouse, you know that this is always bigger than this. and you ease it in. You don't have pleats, you don't have puckers, you just ease it in. And that's what you would do here. If there's a little bit of excess, because we're not all perfect, then you would just kind of ease it in. So if it's 1/4 of an inch and you're easing it in over 80 inches, it's not very much easing, okay? So now you're going to put this down and you're going to let it tell you the direction to go, because the quilt back goes this way, the quilt top goes this way. So let this tell you the direction so you're not having to guess. And again, roll it, make sure it starts out straight across here. Roll it up 3 or 4 times and then go back to it. And again, go from the center out to make sure that it stays straight. And then you want to go center out, and this one's cut really crooked, so we'll just straighten it according to this side. But if I had my line and my line was like drooping a little bit over here and up higher over here, I would just pick this side up and make it straight. It's okay if it has this little bit of bag in there. It'll ease in, okay? And remember, roll it by the pole, not by the quilt, because if you roll it by the quilt, you're distorting it every time you touch it. And now you're done, okay? Okay, now you want to loosen the back and let some out. If you notice, this is called a waterfall load. Your back and your top, you're touching 2 wrong sides. That's the inside of your sandwich. If you have a right side, one of them is rolled wrong, okay? So now you want to take it across to this side. Always make sure that this is behind this pole. You don't want that loaded on top. You always want it behind it. And what I do is just bring it across and clamp it. Because I'm very short, I go around to the other side and work on it because I can't reach that far. So let me walk to the other side. And I unclip it. And now I bring this where it would fit on the table. And I make sure that it is straight, not pulled this way or this way. Just straight down. Then I take my quilt backing and I bring it across and I hold it up like that and make sure that it's straight, not pulled this way and not pulled this way. So it's straight on both of them, and I just let it slip down and I bring my leader and I clamp it, fold it over there and clamp it right in the middle and on the outside edges. And then this way it makes it a little easier to clamp because now you can just push it on the table to clamp it. Then you come back around to the front. And you want to latch this back one now, and you want to bring that up until it's just behind your idler bar. Not behind this one because you'll waste all that fabric, just behind the idler bar. You just need those clamps to be out of the way of the machine. Okay? So now you just bring it up. There's your flat table for your quilting. Now you can bring the quilt top pole up and set it on your caddies. You have these little caddies, cradles that you can put it on. Now you want to put your quilt batting. Now this is a scrap, so it's not real good. It's not wide enough really. But what you do y'all know there is a right side and a wrong side to batting? Okay, your batting comes folded in half. That's how they get so much on that little row. So it is folded in half, and it's just like fabric that is not thread woven, that is dyed on one side. One side's nice and brilliant, the other side is not. This is the same thing. You have the outside, which would be the brilliant side, and then you have the inside, which is different. It's not. This one has, if you look at it at an angle, you can see where there's grading across here, where it was felted. If you look at the inside, you'll see that you can't see the grating so much, but you have a lot of peels and a lot of trash. And you want that trash and those peels to be up. Because if your needle hits that piece of trash, it's probably going to get rid of it before it finishes going through the batting. But if you have it this way and it hits that piece of trash, it's going to push it through the back of your fabric, and that is called bearding. And you don't want bearding all over the back of your quilt. Bearding, people think, oh, we put it in the dryer, it'll shrink up. No, it doesn't. It's cotton. And if you pull on it, it's going to be like a cotton ball or a Q-tip. If you pull on it, it grows. So just remember, the trash goes up, okay? Then you lay it across here. And this is just an example, because normally you would have this wide enough. I usually make it as wide as the quilt back. So if I was piecing it, I would have zigzagged it or ironed it together with the ironing tape for batting ironing tape. But we're going to just pretend that I did do that. And we're going to put this right beside that one. And we'll just pretend that I ironed it, even though I didn't. And it would have been just ironed together right there. Okay, if you zigzag it, you can't overlap it. You have to zigzag from one to the other, because if you overlap it, you're going to have a hump in the middle of your quilt. Now you're going to loosen the quilt top to where it reaches almost up to the top of that. Make sure you bring your little finger up and put your pole back on. Okay, and now you're all ready. So, if you want a straight line across your quilt, you can bring your machine and just bump it up to the back pole. And if you see, it's right there against the back pole. If I kind of keep it leaning on the pole, it'll make a perfectly straight line while I'm quilting. So I like to make it where everything is up there where it needs to be. And then I can do both of them at one time. So I'm going to get my thread, and I am going to needle down, needle up, pull away about 3 or 4 inches, grab your bobbin thread, take it back, and I'm going to just hold the needle up, needle down, and it will walk. So I can just barely move it one fiber to get a little tie off. And then I'm going to put my machine on a base stitch. I go based 1/4 inch. If your machine is older, that's 4 stitches per inch. Now I just lean it against the pole and I sew across the top. Now not only did I attach it, but I also got a perfectly straight line on there to start my quilt with. And then I would clamp my sides. When you clamp your sides, you only want to grab the batting and the backing, never the quilt top. Okay? And then when you bring your bungee, you're just making it taut. You are not stretching it until it pops off and hits the pole over here, and then you call me up and say, these are cheap because they broke in a million pieces. It's because you're not supposed to stretch your sides. You're just supposed to make it taut to give it support. That's it. Okay, I hope that helps you with your quilt loading. Thank you.